Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. I just thought we would get started early this morning. It's only 3 minutes earlier than normal, but I'm totally buzzing because I've got everything set up the way I want it. It's total studio mode now. We're taking things to the next level on the channel, and just wait till we get to the Roma game. Then you'll see about taking stuff to the next level on the live. But anyway, good morning and welcome to everyone in the chat. The crazy bit of news. We kind of spoke about the new manager and everything yesterday. We'll hear what he has to say to the Scottish media today, which will be interesting because they're going to ask him all sorts of questions. We're going to talk about someone that's actually worked with Wilfred Nancy, not Nancy. It's Wilfried Nancy. Nancy. Told you all. But anyway, we move on. The Hearts CEO has spoken about the fact that they're surprised to find themselves at the top of the table. They know that Celtic are going to beat them this weekend. They know exactly. They know the script. They know that Celtic will overtake them at some point, and that some point is going to be this weekend. When you look at the table and you look at the games over the, let's just change scenes here, and when you look at the games that we've had, Celtic have been on a good run. Hearts are having an absolute nightmare, and we've had our bad spell. Let's look at the positives going into this game this weekend. And even though we've got the new manager in-house, as long as the manager doesn't change a lot in his first game. Remember, Brendan Rodgers didn't change a lot from what the previous manager did, Ange Postecoglou. If you remember back, Joe Hart told us all that it wasn't until around about the end of January, that Brendan Rodgers started implementing his own style, and that's when you see Celtic go on a run that season and finish the season on a fantastic high. If he comes in, Wilfred Nancy, and allows Celtic just to keep ticking over, because he knows that there's not too much changes he can make because we don't have the playing staff, we don't have the big squad, we've got far too many people out injured. So as long as he keeps us ticking over, winning, and doesn't do too much, and then starts implementing his changes towards the end of the season, once we've got more players in, once those players are settled, it should all be fine and dandy. Hearts, on the other hand, are going through a bad patch. Now, we've had our bad patch. We had our bad patch at the beginning of the season. And I did say at the time, I said, look, it's maybe sometimes better to get the bad patch out the way at that point of the season, because then we can go on a fantastic run now to the end of the season. Hearts are now hitting the sticky patch. Rangers, they're just not even going to get any better, are they? I mean, I still reckon that they'll sack their manager come Easter. Motherwell are the team that they'll be thinking that they should be a couple of points further. If you look at it, I mean, if Motherwell had won one of the games that they'd drawn, they'd be well in front of Rangers. And Hibernian, they've just been a letdown as usual. They just Hibs it. Hibs should be way further in the table than what they are. But then that's enough about some of the negativity towards Nancy is mental. Well, I'm going to talk about someone who picked out Virgil van Dijk for Celtic. Neil McGuinness. Neil McGuinness. He brought a fantastic player to Celtic. He was a scout for Celtic. He was a talent spotter for Celtic. He's now technical director at Los Angeles FC. Is that not where Odom Ohm is? But he was the recruitment chief for Wilfred Nancy at Columbus Crew. He was the one that found Virgil van Dijk. And you can remember everyone at Celtic at the time saying, how on earth have we managed to pick out this player? Because he could play anywhere in the park, and it was unbelievable that Celtic got Virgil van Dijk, and we sold him for a good bit of money. We've maybe sold him a year too early, because he sold about a year after we sold him for 75 million. Celtic would never get 75 million for him, obviously, playing in Scotland, but we did get good money for him. McInnes reckons that Wilfred Nancy, you just have to look at Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston, I need to turn Sky down a bit, sorry if that's coming through. Got Sky News on. New Celtic manager Wilfred Nancy joined Celtic from Columbus Crew. I sent it to that's they're just going over news from yesterday. I'm just watching it for any breaking news. Sky Sports is saying, I don't consider myself as a boss. I am a leader. The definition of a leader is to put in a good environment to help, to give the possibility for the players to express themselves. They're just going over what was released by Celtic yesterday. I want proactive football. I want the idea to manipulate opponents to gain speed and attack in the box. I like to be proactive in life, and my style of play is the way I live, the brand that Celtic fans will like. So that's the way that Sky are reporting it this morning, which is all fine and dandy, as they say. But the man who found Virgil van Dijk for Celtic says that you just need to look at Alistair Johnston and look at the type of player that the manager likes to find and bring out and make a success. If we can find another 2 or 3 players like Alistair Johnston, I'm sure that we won't complain. But you look beyond that, you look more at the players who are going to Europe from the MLS and are excelling, he says. You look at Aidan Morris, who went to Middlesbrough and is doing very well. You look at the player that went to Newcastle, who's doing very well. And there was a guy that was at Columbus that went to Real Betis and is producing the goods in La Liga. So if they can use their scouting network to pick these players out from the USA, would it be a good idea? Let's do a poll about that this morning. Let's do a poll. Should we be trying to get players in from North America? Now, North America includes Canada. I do include Canada because let's face it, we've tried the South Americas. We've tried Brazil. You remember one player from Brazil, Rafael Shadit, who was shite. Look at Luis Palma. It's not really worked out for Luis Palma. There's not been many players from South America that it has worked out great for. So should we be tapping into the North American market and trying to bring in more players like Alistair Johnston? It's been a success. Straight away, we've got 47 votes in. Straight away, we've got 81% say yes, 90% say no. If you're in the no section, tell me why. Tell me why. Yes, Baz, but European players that play in the MLS. Fine. We've just spoke about players that have went to high levels. You know, Real Betis doing way better than us. You know. So, but anyway, let me just get this screen back up so that we can get some of the comments in. But European players in the ML, but then it's too late, Mikey boy. If the players already left Europe and went to America, their fees have went up. Do you know, we should be trying to get players like Alistair Johnston. He's a fine example. Let's just get the conversation going this morning. Jobbo says, why not try? I think so. And I don't think that we're going to be bringing in 10, 15 players from America. Let's face it, we're not going to be bringing in we're not going to be walking down waving USA flags like a certain other team in Scotland. Like the Mexican boy, Rodriguez, Canadian Cup final. Obviously, a market Nancy will know from me, yes. I mean, look at it. I mean, Ange Postecoglou brought in a lot of players from Japan. Some worked, some didn't. I think that Wilfred Nancy will bring in players from not just Canada, not just America. Do you know, I think that you'll bring in players from Europe as well because he's got a good network. Do you know, he's not the type of manager that's just going to go. I mean, Ange was quite fixated on bringing in players from Asia because he knew that market well. He didn't really know the European market. and definitely didn't know the Scottish market. So it kind of affected him bringing in. Why shrink your scouting base? I don't think that we would be shrinking our scouting base. I think that we're actually enhancing the scouting base. Do you know, we don't have necessarily a scout in Asia that's picking up great players for us now. We've got connections there, but I think what this will do will bring us to the next level. Do you know, we've never had a real good scouting department in. I mean, I don't know who it was that brought in Alistair Johnston, but the fact that the Celtic have known Wilfred Nancy since Alistair Johnston was brought to Celtic because he was the manager. And if you look how good Alistair Johnston and Wilfred Nancy get on, do you know, small world. Do you know, it's like, yeah, my boss is back. He was buzzing. He was buzzing. Don't we have a scout in South America just now? Well, if we do, it's not doing very good. We need our scouts to step up. Yeah, we do. Yeah, no, we do. I think so. Um, MLS season is finished, which would make it easier. That's a good one, Scott. That is a good one. Be interesting if we can get some of the players, top players. I'm not talking about journeymen. I'm not talking about squad fillers. I think that Wilfred Nancy knows that you're not going to get away with just bringing in squad players here. Brendan Rodgers brought in a lot of players, and he called them club players. I'm not believing there's the whole club player thing, and no club would bring in players over and above the manager's head. And I think Brendan Rodgers was very divisive in that. But he's in the past. It's all about looking forward with Wilfred Nancy. But anyway, let's jump back into what the Hearts CEO was saying yesterday at their AGM. He says, Derek McInnes' men were 9 points clear not so long ago. The bubble bursting. Tony Bloom's investment has already been beneficial to the club with his help of Jamestown Analytics. I've heard a lot of chat this season about our big chance to win the league because Rangers are rubbish and Celtic aren't that good. Well, to me, that was really interesting, says the top Heartsman. People have not been listening to what we've been saying. Oh, this is some backtracking. This is Hearts now backtracking. We expect to get better and better and better and better. We are surprised where we sit. Don't see this as a one-off, Tony says. We expect to win the league within the next 10 years. Sing up the... Celtic's going for 10 in a row. We're going for 5 in a row this season. And then the chat. Do you know what? If Wilfred does if he does this season and then the next 2 seasons, gets us to 7, oh my days. It's who do you bring in? Do you know, if we do get to, I think that the chat will start talking about it because it happened when we got to 5 last time. You start thinking, can we keep this run going? Can we keep the momentum going? Imagine doing 3-9 in a row. That would shut them up for good, wouldn't it? Oh, but we stopped at 10. We stopped at 10 twice. But anyway, Hearts talking about the fact it's a long-term project to make the club and team so that they can compete with Celtic every year, not just a one-off. So that is that Hearts conceding the title already? Is that Hearts just letting their fans know, look, we're going to Celtic Park this weekend, and we might get beat. I don't think that we're going to be picking up a player from the J League prices in the MLS League anyway. You never know. How much did we pay for Alistair Johnston? We only paid a couple of million for Alistair Johnston. We didn't pay big money for Alistair Johnston. We never paid 6 odd million. What did Alistair Johnston cost? 3.5 million pounds Alistair Johnston cost. That's the same kind of money that we paid out for players coming over from Japan. You know, so that's if we can get players, if you can get other players like Alistair Johnston, if you can get 5 players from North America like Alistair Johnston for 3.5 million. My days, what a team we're going to have. He joined Celtic after representing Canada in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, coming in from Montreal. But anyway, there we go. 3.5 million for Alistair Johnston. But some people are thinking, yeah, it's not going to happen. We're not going to be picking up players. We didn't sell Kyogo for the money that we thought we were going to get. You know, we didn't. We were all saying that Kyogo was a 20, 30 million pound player. We sold him for 10 million. I think we need to rein in our expectations of what clubs actually see the Japanese players worth. And that's maybe the bigger concern at Celtic. The Japanese players haven't hit the expectations of transfer values. Hence the reason that they're going, do you know what? If we can go and pick out another Canadian, if you can pick out an American for 3.5 million, and then if you turn them into 25, I mean, what would you sell Alistair Johnston for? A fully fit Alistair Johnston. Messi and Son will do from starters. We'll go and knock up Beckham's team and get some of the players out. What happened to Lubo being a scout for us? That was a long time ago. I think Lubo's pretty much retired from the game now, isn't he? I mean, if you think Martin O'Neill's old at 73, what age will Lubo be now? Because he was 34 when he came to Celtic. Anyway, for a scout should be the scout top league in the world. We should already have a scout in the top league in the world. That's England, according to the English. I hear Rodgers is writing a book. Nobody's going to buy it. Nancy will be good. Buzzing going to get start watching Ted. Oh God. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do, mate. I'll be honest. And if they don't, they know that they have to get this window right. Because they've acknowledged. I don't want to even talk about them. I'm sick to the whole board stuff. But yeah, I am confident about them doing the right thing by the manager this window. They know that we're the team. I mean, they just need to look at the team sheet themselves and go look at the injured players. And I think that they'll up the game. They did it for Ange when he came in. There's no reason to think that they're not. I don't think that we're going to go down into a period of big managed decline like what we did under Ronnie Dyler. I don't see that. I mean, I think secretly the club will be pissed off they missed the 10. And if you had a private conversation with the people at the top, I can guarantee you that they would all sit privately and say, we're fucking pissed off we missed the 10. Now what we need to do is put it right. Should they come out and say that? Maybe if we sat down at the AGM and didn't cause a fucking riot at the AGM, you'd maybe get them saying, yeah, why not? Let's go for the 10. And let's get it this time. But we will never know because the club and the fans are like that right now. Do you know, there's no sitting down and trying to get decent conversations out of both sides. Hatate cost 1.2 million. How much are you going to sell Hatate for? 10 million? We're not going to get much more than what we got for Kyogo. He's only got 2 years left on his contract. Kyogo had longer. Might have cost 1.6 or something. Let me just find out. 1.3 million. I don't think Celtic are going to bring out. There's no many. Matt O'Reilly cost 1.5 million, so I don't think that we're going to. If we start going out and buying players at 1.5 million, the fans will go into complete meltdown. The fans will go, oh, here we go again. When we brought in Dice Maida and Rio Hatate for all these 1.1 millions, we didn't expect a lot from them. So to now put them up there on a pedestal, they've had to earn it. They've had to play and earn it. Matt O'Reilly played and earned it. Got his 25 million move. Rio Hitate's not going to get a 25 million move. Dice Maida will not get a 25 million move. Do you know? We're 5 years down, 4 years down the line from that. So expecting us to go out and find 1.5 million, maybe we need to go to North America to find that market. You know, there's bargains to be had. The dollar's worth nothing. There's bargains to be had. Well, there you go. Right, let me just jump through some of these. Apologies, there's 239. Do you know the easiest way to get your comment noticed is with a super chat, even if it's only £1, because they've come flying through. I hope that Wilfred can improve the current squad players, try to bring through some youth players. Well, he's already said that he likes youth players. If you look at the age of let me just check this news coming out. 2 seconds. If you look at the age of Alistair Johnston, when he came to Celtic, do you know he's obviously he came up with the youth ranks, so he earned his. I'm just trying to see if Arne Slot's been sacked. No, he's not. No, he's still there. Arne Slot's just taking a press conference at the moment, so he's not been sacked yet. Maybe maybe Brendan's waiting for Arne Slot to get sacked so he could try and go back to Liverpool, but that will never happen. Anyway, the vote this morning: should we be trying to get in players from North America? 79% are yes, 21% say no. If you buy One Celtic Fans View merchandise, you get a comment read out. No, because it doesn't come up on the screen, mate. I'd love to say yes, but it doesn't come up on the screen. I hope we don't buy Trump supporting Yanks, says Paul. Alistair Johnston was quite lucky because there was a World Cup on and he was available. It's not an exact science, this transfer game. It involves a lot of luck involved. No, it involves us being proactive. Mate. It does involve us being proactive and watching players. And the fact that we watched Alistair Johnston before he was at the World Cup and then he excelled at the World Cup, you then know that the player can do it at the highest level. And it's then being able to move quick. We moved quick then to get Alistair Johnston. We moved really quick before anybody else started going, do you know that this Canadian player, Alistair Johnston's quite good. Celtic got in there and got the deal done. And I think that if we get back to that as a club, I think that it could only bring good things. And you've got to say as well, do you know, the last manager has to take a big chunk of responsibility for the whole nonsense with the transfer window. I'm not blaming it all on the board. The board, yes, they're lackadaisical and they take their time when getting deals done, but at the same time, a manager can put pressure on the board to get stuff done. Brendan, I don't even want to talk about him anymore. He's in the past. It's like an ex. You never talk about your ex. Anyway, Celtic have done well in exploring markets out with the UK and Europe before. The Japanese markets being impressive. America is definitely an environment that they should be looking at as far as I am concerned. Because let's face it, over the last couple of weeks, I think that a lot of us, when we knew that Martin O'Neill was leaving, we kind of looked like Casper and we looked over to Martin O'Neill and we looked over in awe, thinking, this man's a complete legend. But the reality is, I think that we all ended up looking like this when the manager was leaving, and a lot of Celtic fans had this look on their face. And we're like, he's leaving. He's been amazing. He's been absolutely fantastic. And I think that Dyes and Maeda and Scalesy kind of sum up the way that Celtic fans have been feeling over the last couple of days, with the fact that they've known that it's been Martin O'Neill's last hurrah at Celtic Park. But it is a new dawn. It is a new dawn and it's a new day. The manager will already be in Celtic Park. He'll be on the training pitch already. The players are generally being told to on the training pitch for 9 o'clock in the morning. So um, it'll be interesting to see the backroom staff. If Celtic put out any media stuff today, it will all be about is Sean Maloney anywhere to be seen? Is Fozzie anywhere to be seen? Do you know, that's the big question that Celtic fans want answered today. We know that he's come in with a backroom staff of three. Generally, you need a bit more than that when you look at the backroom staff that Celtic have had over the years and modern clubs have. So we'll wait and see. It's a big day for him. Big day for him. Training with the guys this morning. Does he change anything? Does he go straight to a three? Liam Scales has been talking about it. He said, look, I've played in the back three for Ireland. I've played in the back five for Ireland. I've played out in the left wing for Ireland. I don't care where I play. I just want to play. You know what? Looking forward, when Alistair Johnston comes back, I'm glad he's bringing his fitness guru. Yeah, because I think that that's one of the things that a lot of Celtic fans have been worried about, is how are we picking up so many hamstrings? And we picked up a lot of hamstrings, remember, as well, under Ange Postecoglou. So, do you know, is it the fitness thing? That picture is old. Dyson doesn't have his headband and they're wearing black armbands. Yeah, I know it's an old picture, but as they were looking sad, I had to find a sad picture. So I know it wasn't an up-to-date one, mate, but I had to find a sad picture of two Celtic players to sum up our mood. That was it. I think they're both gone, says Helen. I don't think they'll not both be gone, because Sean Maloney is still the loans manager. And that's something that's out with the managerial department. I don't think that Sean Maloney will be gone from Celtic altogether, because he did have a job at Celtic. It's like McManus. McManus will go back down to the B team. McManus will go to the B team, and when you look at it, hopefully Sean goes back. I mean, Sean said, look, I'm happy to go back to my loans manager job. He said that right at the beginning of this process. And it's Fozzie's the one that I'm kind of thinking for. But he's already said he wants to try and get an assistant manager's job somewhere. So we'll wait and see what happens. It's a big 3 games ahead. Will shape the rest of our season. Scales will be brilliant under Nancy. Yeah, I think so. We need a hamstring guru. No, I think that the fitness guru will just make sure that we up our game fitness wise. And if we do up our game fitness wise, you know, it's going to be a fantastic end to the season. That's for sure. It's going to be a right fantastic end to the season. Right, we're on 154 votes for the poll this morning. There's been over 850 people online already. Should we try and get in players from North America, which includes Canada and America? 79% say yes, 21% say no. Gutted if we can't find a job for Fozzie. Yeah, I think that a lot of us are like that. But it'll come down to the manager. You know, maybe Martin O'Neill, maybe the conversation that Martin O'Neill and the manager had yesterday. I've just seen UNICEF do an advert and it's AI generated. That's terrible. That's all AI. That's unbelievable. So sorry. But yeah, I think that we'll all, hopefully part of the conversation. Why are you blaming Rodgers for signings when we all know Desmond and the boards have to take most of the blame? Right, I don't think that the board would tell a manager we're going to sell Adamida. That has to come from the manager. There's no way does the board turn around with a couple of days to go with the end of the transfer window and say, look, we're going to sell Adamida. That comes from the manager, mate. Do you know? And then it puts pressure. It puts pressure on the board to find a replacement. It's an ideal scenario. It's not my fault. It's the board's fault for not getting someone in. Only the manager can say yes, we're selling that player. And if that's not the case at Celtic, we just stop playing football. That's the way that I see it. And if it wasn't the case, Dermot Desmond would not have put out the statement that he did against Brendan Rodgers. You have to look at the whole picture. Don't just look at the narrative of the board are to blame for everything. Take all the information that you have, and in there lies the truth of something. Brendan Rodgers would have given the yes, sell Adam Ida. And that's what I'm basing my knowledge on. And anybody that thinks anything else, well, we're all entitled to our views, but sometimes you've got to step back. The board are money grabbing rats. So you're saying that the board deliberately put us in a perilous position? Well, we're all entitled to our opinions. Super chat from Stephen Johnston this morning. Thank you for season. Come on, everyone, hit the thumbs up, says Stephen. Yeah, he resigned for a reason. He resigned for a reason because he sat. Let's just get this right now. He resigned after he sat with Dermot Desmond for 3 hours in his house. Dermot Desmond went to his house. Is that so? You're now saying that Dermot Desmond is lying, and that Dermot Desmond didn't go to his house, and that Dermot Desmond didn't ask Brendan Rodgers the questions about all these things? So you're saying that the Dermot Desmond statement is a lie? That's a big statement. That's a big statement. That the Dermot Desmond statement was a lie. If it was a lie, where's Brendan Rodgers' lawyer? That's all I'm saying. It's nowhere. But anyway, James says, I'm with you. Rodgers has a lot to answer for. Yet everyone blamed everyone but himself, even threw players under the Honda Civic bus. Yeah, he did. And that's why we move on. And it's all about this man, Wilfred Nancy, to take Celtic further forward. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not backing the board in any way. Brendan Rodgers did his best to try and destroy the team before he bolted. It's all about me. Yeah, exactly. And this is what he's done. He's helped split the fan base, although the fan base has now come together trying to get rid of the board. And long may that continue. But anyway, should we be trying to buy players from North America? 79% say yes, 21% say no. This is interesting that 21% say no, we shouldn't be buying players like Alistair Johnston. It's an interesting scenario. I'm just catching. I'll tell you one thing, the English get the news conferences dead early, doesn't it? I mean, that's Liverpool had their news conference for the weekend already, 9 o'clock this morning. Eddie Howe's about to have a news conference. Mikel Arteta's about to have a news conference at this time of the morning. But in Scottish football, we have our news conferences away later in the afternoon. But then again, they've got further distances to travel, aren't they? If they're travelling away down south now, they've got 4 or 5 hours bus journey because they'll take buses. Wilfred meeting the young boys from the academy looked kind of awkward. I don't think it looked kind of awkward. I mean, he was asking the young players. It's good that he takes an interest because if you remember the last words of Brendan Rodgers talking about the academy is not going to produce for 5 or 6 years. That was the last thing that Brendan Rodgers spoke about the academy. He said, you're looking at 4, 5, 6 years before the academy starts producing now. Whose fault is that? Surely that has to be his fault. Do you know? But anyway, we move on from him. That's an interesting one. I think it was wise to sign North American players with up-and-coming World Cup if they perform well in the tournament. Their price tag could go up. Could be some good business. I don't think it's just... do you know, there's bound to be good Canadian players out there. There's bound to be some good American players. I loved Ange Ball, where you're, according to all reports, you're going to love Nancy Ball even better. you're going to love his football even better. Right, let's see if we can get the vote up to 200 votes. There's been over 1,000 people online this morning, but there's only 187 votes. Should we be trying to get in players from North America? 80% say yes, 20% say no. If you're in the no camp, tell us why, because it's always good to get opposing opinions to why we should not be buying players like Alistair Johnston and Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty. Just saying. Dunno. Ange is a flop. Wonder who Scotland will get in the World Cup draw today. Well, Helen, I am doing a live for the World Cup draw, so we could sit with excitement to see who Scotland are going to get tanked by in the World Cup. So I will do a live for the World Cup draw this afternoon as soon as we come up. I've got the thumbnail and everything all set up. So I think it's 4 o'clock Celtic Park's time that the draw will be made. And that's and we might actually try and get the. Can I put the draw on the screen? I don't think. Will it get done with copyright? More than likely. Ange has been more successful than Rodgers in football altogether. In a couple of weeks, Nancy could have won as many trophies as the last tribute marked managers combined. This is very true. This is very true. Anyway, what time? It's Stephen Johnston. It's at 4 o'clock, I'm sure. Let me just double check. I'm sure it is 4 o'clock. It's free to air. It's from 5 p.m. Coverage from 5 p.m. I was wrong. I was out. I would have checked that. It's from 5 p.m. Celtic Park time. So that's 6 o'clock here. That's fine. That gives me plenty of time to go and fucking do what I need to do today. It'll be broadcast on the BBC. Yeah, we'll be able to do it then. I'll be able to stream. We will be able to stream the draw live. There we go. So make sure that you join the channel. We'll stream the draw live, and you'll hear me sitting at the side going as the teams are drawn out. Anyway, we need one vote. We're at 199 votes, so it can end. Oh, there we go. Bang on 200. 200 votes. It's quite conclusive. 80% say yes. Let's bring in players from North America, like Austin Trusty, like Cameron Carter, maybe not Cameron Carter-Vickers, because maybe someone better, and like Alistair Johnston. That's 3 players that we've not done too bad with. Let's face it. We've not done too bad. And the fact that Cameron Carter-Vickers, we got him from the Spurs Academy. We didn't go to North America to get him. So anyway, looks cold this morning. No, I've still got my hoodie on from when I was out walking the dog. And I never took it off before the live. So yeah, that's the only reason I've got my hoodie on. It's because it's I was out walking the dog and I didn't take it off. That's it. Anyway, right, that is me done and dusted for this. Baz, do you think that we could turn over Roma? Good feeling about it. Let's get the game. Let's get this game this weekend sorted out first. The Roma game will take care of itself. I mean, I'm not exactly. I've not even looked at the Europa table for. Let's just get it on the screen. We'll finish off talking about that. Oh no, I could go on. Oh, I can go into here, and then if I go here, Celtic Europa League. Where's the table? Table. There we go. Get the table on the screen. And then we'll do this. On the Thursday for the Roma game, I might actually have... Now, Roma are sitting 15th in the league. Celtic are sitting way up. I need to get Celtic on. Remember me to message... So Celtic are sitting in 21st position. Roma are sitting in 15th. Now they've won 3 games and they've lost 2 games, whereas Celtic in the Europa have won 2 games, lost 2 games, and drawn 1. So, it's going to be an interesting one. It's at Celtic Park. The Hearts game is more important than Europa. Tell that to the incoming manager. Well, he's not the incoming manager now. Tell that to the manager, because you got to remember that he took his team to the North American Champions League final. You need to remember that. He took his team to the North American Champions League final, and they got beat by a South American team. He will see Europa. Do you know, everyone's talking about him. Was the big grumpy Greek not in the MLS? Yes, he was. Before he's moved to Greece. Yeah, he was. He went to America before he went back to Greece. So there we go. But yeah, it's a 6-pointer. Yeah, this weekend's game's a 6-pointer, but the Roma game's also a 6-pointer. It's a massive game, and we need to win our home games. We need to win our home games. If we beat Roma, right, we then go into 10 points. Roma would then be on 9. They would still be on 9 points, so they would still be 15th or below. That would put Celtic. There's a potential. There is still. Now, I'm not going to get excited about it, right? But if we win this game, there's a chance that Celtic could be pushing, and Wilfred Nancy will want it as well. We could be pushing for a top 8 finish. And that's, if he comes in and turns things around, right, in Europe, and goes, you know what, let's try and get a top 8 finish so we get automatically qualify for the last 16. If we automatically qualify for the last 16, come on. Are you then going to turn around and say Europe's not important? Because nobody said that in 2003. When we got to the 16 stage back in 2003, everybody started looking at the games in front and thinking we could get this team, that team, and we all knew that we could possibly end up with Porto in the final. And we all thought, do you know what? We could probably do Porto. All games are important, says Paul Baird. Yeah, the most important game is this weekend. I will be doing a live for the Roma game, and then I've got a shock for you. I'm not going to be doing a live for the final because I'm not going to be here for the final. I'm going to be back in Scotland, but I might do a live for the final. It might just be not this normal kind of live. We'll wait and see. There isn't much between us and Roma. Nah, I reckon that we could do it, and it's at the Celtic Park. Can't wait for the Jambos game. I think a lot of us can't wait for it. The Hearts hierarchy have been talking about it and said that they can't believe that Hearts are where they are in the league, giving their fans a little bit of a come down, saying, look, we want to win the league within the next 10 years. That's basically telling them that, look, Celtic are back, they're on a charge, and they've just brought in a new manager. They're going to spend big, although we've got 10 million in the bank. That's got to do us over the next couple of seasons. Anyway, make sure that you join me at 5 p.m. Celtic Park time tonight, where we'll do a watch along. We might do a live before then, after the Celtic manager Wilfred Nancy has had his say with the Scottish media. It'll be interesting to have his take, and then we'll do, if Celtic have done the press conference by that, they've done the press conference by that time, because I'm sure Alistair, Johnston and such will be wanting to sit down and go, let's see who we've got in the World Cup. Who will Scotland get? Who will Ireland get? They get through in the playoffs. Could Ireland get to the World Cup also? Anyway, on that note, a big shout out to Stephen Johnson, super chat from him. Come on, everyone, hit the thumbs up. And Danny Cassie with a super chat also. Over 420 comments this morning is a little bit quieter, but there's still been over 1,200 people, 1,150 actually, being on the live this morning. Danny Cassie says, well, I'm going to say that we should put wee Alistair Johnston, plus make sure we play him every week. Well, he's injured just now, so just need to wait, sure, and see. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are. all around the world. I've got to say, I'm loving this new system. Like, screens like all over the place, and everything's well